And we're back. The PCC Multiverse. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from the Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Game Source, and the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us that fantastical 5-star review. I want to put that closer for 3D effect. 5-star review.
God, get your hand out of my face. What are you doing?
I get to see you just like when we were at CES, if I'd have done that to you while we were watching that editing for that editing presentation.
Yeah.
Hey, Melinda, look at this 5-star. Ow! Yes. 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you could like, share, subscribe today to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air or we upload the latest Pop Culture Cosmos, PCC Multiverse, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, the State of Pro Wrestling, or anything that we do right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without the queen of the cosmos herself. It is a fantastical part of what we do here. She is the mistress of all pop culture. It is, of course, lady who's behind so many great things, including Vampires of Vitae, also as well Wild Beyond Witchlight, and so much more. It is my good friend. It is Melinda Barkhouse Ross. And Melinda, great to have you back. I do have an apology. Told you I would be on the air to go ahead and do.
Yeah.
Because, well, I said to you, you said you're in the process of moving from one Taj Mahal palace to another.
Yep.
And I said to you, I would be available if you needed help for that.
Yeah.
And you did not DM me directly. I found this out that you needed help via Facebook. I just happened to be scrolling. And you're calling out for help. Totally forgetting our conversation. But I happen to be in the middle of, I don't know what row number, but I happen to be in the middle of Allegiant Stadium when I happen to be scrolling it. So
sure.
I couldn't exactly get out of it. I could leave the Raiders game. I wasn't a Raiders fan. I just was free seat. So it was okay. That was fine. As when you're offered comp seats, you go ahead and do it no matter what.
Just do it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, here in Vegas.
Yeah.
But leaving the stadium would have been fine. Just by the time I would have taken the bus back to Samstown and then get in my car and come over there, you probably would have done and already had the pizza that you probably offered everybody else that was already there. So
you know what? I went big time. I ordered everybody like chicken sandwiches from Houston Chicken.
Dang.
Yeah. No, I was like, pizza's not. We're all over 40 at this point. Pizza's not good enough anymore. We've got to go up to chicken sandwiches for moving.
Chicken sandwiches would have been good.
Oh, and they're so good. Houston hot chicken,
much better than the $25 hot dogs at Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah, no joke.
Yeah. So I apologize.
Okay. No,
if you still had any other moving or anything I can do to help, please DM me directly.
Well, the next thing you can help with will be the housewarming, I suppose. So we'll let you know when that happens.
I'll crash it. I'll finally get to meet Roger face to face, which is so weird that we were doing so much together for years. And I'd be like, he could walk by me and he'll probably not even recognize me if he walked right by me out in the street. So it'd be good to go ahead and finally meet him in person. And of course, I've met both you and Robbie before. So I was very blessed to do so. Would love to do many more times in the future as well. So looking forward to that. But let's catch up with you. What have you been doing lately in the world of pop culture?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I mean, all of our games have been on pause because of the move and the packing and all of that stuff. So we have start back updates all ready to go. All of the players are all locked in, and we should be back on schedule towards the end of the month, just in time to go into the holiday season, which means there's going to be more missed games than actual played games, just because it's the tail end of the year, and that's what happens. But we do have enough audio that we should be able to start pushing episodes out on the regular again here pretty soon. I just have to convince myself to sit down and do the editing. That's, I mean, can't you hire somebody for us, Gerald, to do the editing? Can't you?
If you send it to me, I'll do it.
You kidding me? That's too much work. But no,
I edit 6-7 shows a week.
I know, that's wild.
Whatever. Yes.
Wild. Yeah. Ours is like hours of goofing around, and somewhere in there is a game that you have to find and pull out in the edit. Okay. It can be messy. Anyway, long story short, games are coming back very, very soon. We're very excited about it. We have a couple of ideas of things that we're going to kick off in the new year. Finally going to get to Defiant. Remember, we had them on the show a couple of times to talk about the game. So I'm finally going to crack that open. I think we've got a pretty solid start to a campaign there, so it should be fun. And I'm going to try to resurrect my all-girl gaming table. I've missed having a table of ladies who could just come to a table and be a little bit silly. Had that with the girls in Halifax, and really want to establish something like that in Las Vegas. It's really fun, and it's a beautiful thing when you have a group of girls who could sit around and have some hijinks, have some drinks, and kill some ogres. It's great.
Absolutely. So please stand by for that. And once she gets the motivation, or sends it over to me.
Yeah.
And we'll get that done. Those episodes will be rolling back on out. And I look forward to it. And I just can't wait. And once again, it is Melinda Barkhouse-Ross with all the great stuff that she does. Please go ahead and check it out. Starting with the back episodes of Vampires and Vitae. We'll get you started there. You'll be glad you did. So there you go, indeed. But nothing you're catching on pop culture right now?
I mean, there's the whole Diddy stuff. That's pretty messy. But
ain't no party like a Diddy party, I guess, from what I hear.
I mean, I don't know.
I was not invited, by the way.
Yeah, neither. So I guess that's why we never made it. I don't know. I'm very confused on the whole thing. It sounds horrifying and horrific and awful.
It is, yeah.
Something like over 200 people now, I think, have come forward.
Yeah, the allegations are pretty deep. Yeah. That's a party I don't want to be invited to. Thank you. I'll
not
pass.
At all. Yeah, and it's alarming because you see so many people that we've looked up to, and people that we love and people that we are fans of, and you find out that they're tangled up in this stuff, and it just makes all of that celebrity stuff really gross, and it really makes me wonder about, like, are there like good, I don't want to say good celebrities, but like, are there good people in Hollywood? Because it doesn't right now really seem like there's a lot of them.
I remember back in the 90s when I was working in Hollywood, right across the street from Paramount Studios, for a special effects company, Pacific Data Images. And I remember that, I was dreaming of the time that I could go ahead and get on the other side of the street, work in Paramount Studios, or be on the lot, or work on a show, or be on a show, and be asked to go to one of those parties. That was probably something like, would have been a highlight for me at that point in time. But now, so many years later, older, wiser Gerald says, you know what, that may not have been always the great choice, but there probably are some good celebrities. I mean, I've talked to a few on this show before and interviewed in the past. They seem friendly and nice, during the interviews, and some of them are probably a lot of them are, I should say, not some, but probably a lot are leading straight-laced, good lives, and are actually just hardworking individuals, because you're on the set 12 to 15 hours a day. A lot of them do deserve our time and respect. I think there's just some that really give the word celebrity a bad name.
Sure, yeah. And I mean, you hear all of those horror stories and stuff, and it's just it's so disheartening, I guess. It's such a letdown when you find out that those weird Hollywood stories are incredibly true. It just feels like a real letdown. It feels like a betrayal of the agreement between entertainer and consumer of entertainment somehow. And I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if it's, the illusion that we've put them up on some kind of plateau and kind of put them above the rest of us, and then we find out that they're incredibly flawed and it feels like a big letdown. I'm not sure what that is. I've been trying to figure it out now for a couple of days. So that's really what's been kind of on my mind. That and all the hurricanes in Florida. But gosh, wild.
Yes, our thoughts and prayers go out to the people and the communities affected by the recent hurricanes, and hope they can get their lives back up and running very quickly. Yeah, it's been a rough time during that time of season, hurricane season, for that area of the country. So again, our hearts go out with them. And as far as the party, there ain't nothing like a Barkhouse Ross party. Let's change it to that. So,
yeah. Way more
we got,
chill, I promise. And way more like food. There's so much
yes,
food.
and way safer. Yes.
Yeah.
Police don't need to be involved. But we got a great show lined up for everybody out there. We're going to be talking about a lot of things, including as far as the usual go around as far as video games. I know that Melinda had something in mind as well in regards to that, as far as a certain expansion that her husband is not too thrilled with. And we'll talk about that here coming up as well. Henry Cavill, who has been on the minds of a lot of Warhammer fans, such as your husband, did something else, has agreed to do something else. So we'll talk about that. What's going on with the movies? We'll talk about how it could be terrifying in more ways than one. And we'll go ahead and make sure we got you covered on the world of pop culture right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But first up, my friend, want to go ahead and talk to you about, let's say, because it's almost the 50-minute break, want to talk to you about Henry Cavill. Of course, your husband has been probably talking your ear off nonstop about the upcoming adaptation he'll be doing for Warhammer 40,000K or Warhammer straight up or whatever they're going to do Warhammer-ish.
Right.
But he just recently agreed to doing a Voltron movie for Amazon.
Now, I heard that it was because the talks with Warhammer fell apart. Is there any truth to that? I just heard it. I don't
not heard any truth about that other part, because that still involves Amazon in regards to the Warhammer. So
right. So I thought that it would be weird for him to not do that project but sign on to do another. That would be strange, wouldn't it?
Well, this is not a series. I was told it's a movie. So
sure.
he can I think balance the two out as far as that's concerned. So I'm going to say right now he's got them both still as far as projects, but for me, that means one less chance that he will be playing Shepard in a Mass Effect movie that he was once rumored to do, and actually had a proposal that he put on as far as his social media at one time. So Henry Cavill, the Voltron movie, that'll be coming at some point down the line, looks like. Your thoughts on it as far as the Voltron, I guess, atmosphere on it? I mean, Pacific Rim, it had a lifespan.
It did.
Until they kind of messed with it too much. The Transformer movies had a lifespan until they kind of messed with it too much with its most recent outing. Your thoughts on this type of genre, because Voltron would probably fit into that. Maybe Power Rangers you could put on it because of their similarities with the Japanese culture and how it was transferred over to U.S. television back in the day. Your thoughts on a Voltron movie for Amazon with Henry Cavill? Okay.
That's where I'm at. Yeah. But I think that I was in terms of growing up, I'm in this weird pocket. I feel like I'm a cusp, right? I'm at the very, very end of Gen X and the very, very beginning of the millennials. So I have this weird bubble around me of, there were times when I was too old for a thing. There were also times when I was too young for a thing. And I think that the Voltron stuff happened when I was, I want to say I was too young, but I could be my timeline could be a little bit messed up in my brain for that. So I don't really, I mean, I remember the cartoon. I don't remember being in love with the cartoon, but I was also madly in love with She-Ra, Princess of Power at the time.
There you go. Which is being talked about again. It's that actually She-Ra was floated around this week as far as being a project once again.
Yeah, that would be great. I would like that opportunity to get back to that the world. Sorry, it's not Estonia. It's close though. It's close. Anyway, Henry Cavill and Voltron. I think it's Henry Cavill and it's dork stuff. It's gonna do well. They just have to let him do it.
Yep, it is. Yeah. And speaking of Amazon, She-Ra, the live-action Amazon series, about a week ago, tapped a "What the Constitution Means to Me" creator Heidi Schreck to write the series. So,
could be something there then.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wonder if they'll have He-Man interact with She-Ra on it, or a He-Man per se. That's what I was, because he was an occasional guest star on She-Ra episodes, but they made sure to put first and foremost She-Ra at, because that was her show. So I wonder if they're going to do that or not confuse the public by, keeping it separate. Because remember, Netflix has been, He-Man's been on Netflix. So I don't know if they can Amazon will get the rights to go ahead and showcase He-Man on She-Ra, or just keep it separate. I think they have to go ahead and have some affiliation with the He-Man character just to get people familiarized, because they are a part of the same construct. They are part of the same.
Yeah, they're brother and sister, right? Twins, I think.
Are they?
And they were separated.
Okay.
And he grew up with, I want to say, his parents. She grew up with Hoarder, I believe.
Okay.
Why do I know this lore? That's so strange.
You are good, girl.
Wow.
Yeah. Dang.
Don't ask me about it in 5 minutes. I won't remember.
Okay.
But yeah, and so she grew up as part of the bad guys, and eventually is brought over to the good side, and then she finds out about this whole brother thing, and that's when you start to see Adam / He-Man come into the She-Ra side of the universe. So they might be able to get around it, maybe by not having He-Man make an appearance, but Adam might be able to make an appearance.
Good point.
So they may be able to do a little bit of, magic there and kind of make that happen.
Well, also Mattel, who owns the rights to, of course, He-Man and She-Ra, as far as from the toy aspect, maybe has something to say about that as well. So we'll see what happens. Again, She-Ra and Voltron projects by Amazon. Still waiting for Mass Effect, but then again, we might not hear anything until November 7th. And if you're a Mass Effect fan, you know why. They always announced everything on November 7th. But be that as it may, what are your thoughts on Henry Cavill for a Voltron movie, or She-Ra for an action series upcoming on Amazon? Will they knock it out of the park like they did for Fallout? Please let us know your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. My friend, still a little bit ways to go on today's show. Your once most eagerly anticipated game, Diablo 4.
Yeah.
I don't know if after all and everything, the fixes were made and the fan, and I want you to go into that, please, because this is part of the story. Diablo 4's expansion just came out. Vessel of Hatred, I believe it is called. And I'm going to be getting into Diablo 4 finally. I finished my first tour of Oblivion finally. After 100 some odd plus hours, I finally decided to go ahead and do the campaign and finish the main campaign, although I still have a ton more to do in Oblivion. I figured I might take an Oblivion break and go into the world of Diablo because I have it free. So it's like, okay, I'll get it. I'll play it. All right, let's go ahead and do it. But it seems like Diablo 4, since its release, it came out to just a really large following at first, but because of the mistakes that were made,
yeah, there were a few.
Yeah, they didn't sustain its momentum. Your thoughts on Diablo 4, where it stands right now as a game as it heads into its expansion, Vessel of Hatred?
So here is what I really liked about Diablo 3. What I liked about Diablo 3 was when I managed to get my new character, those flaming boots, the ones that set the ground on fire and you can just like run through a horde and kill them all. Like, I love the grind to get the equipment and the weapons and the armor so I don't have to do anything. I can just run right through stuff or stand in the middle of a horde of attacking things and not have to do a whole lot to get myself out of it. I love when I get to that point in the game. It's my absolute favorite. I love dialing all of the gear. It's my favorite part of it. But what they have done is, regardless of how I have set my character up, when they are making these changes, they're changing the things that I have worked so hard to get and achieve and accomplish. We were less than 13 levels away from hitting 100 on our most recent character that we're playing.
So you were like 87, correct?
Yeah, we're somewhere in there. We're between 87 and like 93. We're in that little pocket somewhere. And this expansion, which we haven't even bought yet, but this expansion, it was released. Our level is now 50. All of our equipment that we had, that was like the highest level equipment that you could get with I think it's like a gradient red background, I think is what you're looking for. It's all gone. They took it. When Robbie hasn't been able to put the game back on since this happened. And it's not that we are upset about the game correcting itself and the game continuing to make it challenging to play. That's exactly what you expect from a game. But the hours, over 30 levels they took away from us for an expansion that we haven't purchased. That's the disconnect for me. We didn't buy the expansion. So and we're not playing in a season. We're doing like our own thing. So why was our stuff affected? It's disheartening. It's frustrating. It's disappointing because I thought that we were past that because they've already done this they nerfed one of the classes. I can't remember which one. But like, just stop that. Don't take things away from me that I have achieved. We were almost a level 100 character and you knocked back over 30 levels. The hours of time. That's upsetting. That's dirty. And it's not okay. That is a strongly worded email.
And I guess there are similar occurrences throughout those that are playing the game as well as much as you two have.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they've heard the feedback from it, but I don't see anything corrected as of yet. And even if that's the case, your items and levels might be lost for good. And that's quite a shame because, like you said, that's hours upon hours of work for you to grind to get to that high level and have that equipment to go into this new expansion, and to take it away is extremely disappointing. I know that, for instance, Oblivion, if I were to go ahead and continue on with all the DLC that's available to me, and I didn't have the equipment that I earned, that I had grinded for, I would be less apt to play myself. I would feel like it's a betrayal of the hard work that I put into it, Melinda.
It's exactly how it feels. And it's such we recognize and acknowledge and own that it's a little bit silly to be, upset about it. And it is hours of work, but it's also, hours of time that Robbie and I spent together. So it's not like we're, we're not hard pressed by the time that we've spent playing the video game or anything like that. I don't want to give anybody that kind of impression, but it really is, it's really upsetting. And the disconnect though is that we don't have the expansion. We're not playing in a season, so I just don't understand why our stuff would have been affected on top of everything else. If we bought the expansion and the expansion was like, hey, this is either going to be a new character for you that you're going to play with this, or you can take this character, but it's going to lose a few levels. I don't know. It feels like the Diablo game is doing it a lot, and it feels undermined. It feels like it's a disrespect for the time that we've put into it. I don't know. It just seems, I don't know. It doesn't feel good as a consumer of the game, and I love the game.
Yeah, and I know you've spoken great about it. Even after it came out, and it didn't always meet expectations among the fans, as far as it was rated really well, reviewed really well, but the after effects of what they did for the game, in fact, they tweaked it sometimes too much in the wrong direction, so that fans were very upset by the changes, so they had to change it back. So the rollout was okay and was good and was strong, and with advance notice, advance the sales that warranted it. And I remember I showed you the billboards in Canada when I was in Vancouver, and about the hype. It was really good. It was something that I thought was really well done, but the follow through was not good, and that was what hurt the most. For this game, for not having the lasting imprint of some other games like Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3, just carried out throughout the years in access before it became a full-fledged game. The hype train was already there, but even after it came out, it did continually try to make the game better with success amongst the community to keep that going. And obviously it earned its share of awards that same year that, of course, Diablo 4 came out. So yeah, it's really disappointing, but is there anything that can get you back in, both you and I just saw Robbie right behind you leaving. That was probably him leaving Diablo 4 away right now. So yes. But before we head to the break, is there anything in your eyes that you can see Blizzard do better in order to bring you back as a Diablo fan?
Well, I mean, this hasn't made me not a Diablo fan. All that it's really done is made me less apt to pick up the controller and select Diablo as the game that I'm going to play. Like anything, when you get disappointed by it, or when you feel like something is unjust, it's going to take a little while for those feelings to go away enough to want to be able to sit down and play the game. And thankfully we have Baldur's Gate that we can fall back on, and we both have our characters that we've been playing in that. So it's not like because Diablo has done this we can't game anymore. Like, it's not going to be the end of the world by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that Diablo is our game, and our game is not treating us very well. And maybe it's time for me to just put Diablo 3 back on and just grind in Diablo 3 for a little while.
Maybe it is. Get those boots back on, girl.
Yeah, maybe it's time to call up Deckard Cain and see what's going on, and see if we can get to heaven again.
What's the song called? These boots are made for walking. In this case, yours is made for running. So
and setting things on fire. Those are my favorite. I will end the campaign with those boots, and I will throw away boots that have like over 1100 power to them, and keep my boots that just catch everything on fire. It's only like 235 defense or something that's on them, but you can't beat the results. Just run around and kill everything. It's amazing.
You can't beat it indeed. But for now, Diablo 4 comes out with a new expansion. It is Vessel of Hatred. Are you still playing Diablo 4 out there? Or are you like the Rosses, where some changes that were made? Take a little break. Okay, take a little break. But obviously, losing all those levels and equipment wasn't a good thing. If you are upset just like they are in regards to Diablo 4, let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, 1/2 hour down, 1/2 hour to go here at the PCC Multiverse. It is Melinda Barkhouse Ross, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. For all the radio stations around the world that still carry for so many years, the Pop Culture Cosmos. We are truly indebted to you. And if you want to catch us in audio while you're driving in the car, please go ahead and check us out wherever you get your podcasts as well. So, this weekend at the box office is kind of an interesting weekend because this should have been the second weekend of a full-fledged domination of the box office by Joker 2, Folly
Yeah.
at You. But something happened along the way in regards to that. It's clear that both Joaquin Phoenix and director Todd Phillips did not want to make this movie. It is clear. So they said, okay, let's throw a musical, let's throw a courtroom drama, let's throw everything in there except for what the fans actually want to end up seeing. So if that's the case, and then the spoilers at the end that have already been leaked out all over the place actually just end any more thoughts of a return for Joaquin and basically Todd Phillips as well. But Warner Brothers, despite their misgivings of Phoenix and Phillips, Warner Brothers backed up the Brinks truck and they just couldn't say no to the cash in order to do it. So they did it, but yeah, it's clear that they didn't want to do it. And obviously, we have a $200 million meltdown as far as how much the movie cost. And this movie is, for however successful Joker was, this movie will not be successful. So there could be a real possibility, Melinda, that it gets beat out by a low, well, not quite as low as it once was, but still low budget film, a horror film in Terrifier 3 of all things, as it's projected now to do above $10 million and is getting actually halfway decent reviews as far as from slasher fans. So your thoughts on Terrifier 3, the terrifying clown once again tearing everything up. Again, this is a series that I didn't know horror fans needed, but I guess when it comes right down to it, because of the fact it started out as a super low budget film in the original, this is, I guess, the tried and true way of how horror films were once made and were successful early on.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that that's part of what draws people. Perhaps I don't know because I can't do horror movies myself. Like we've been doing horror movies every Tuesday through October, and I mean the horror movie, it's Craft. The Craft is barely a horror movie. I know. I'm sorry. So that's
Is
where
your
I'm at with
next
that.
horror movie Borderlands next?
Probably.
Okay.
But so I just wanted to clarify that first. But
Okay.
let me also say that I think that part of the charm that horror movie fans really enjoy and that they really are drawn to is like a really solid B or C level kind of movie. Give them the low budget, give them practical effects, give them, like glycerin mixed with red food coloring and throw it on a wall and they're going to be thrilled. And I think that it goes back to just uncomplicated movies, and I think it goes back to just sitting down and enjoying a spin of a good yarn. I think that's really what a lot of that comes down to. I think that the low budget part of it is just adds more to the charm of it. And I think that low budget forces directors and actors in horror movies and special effects people too to be extremely creative with their special effects and how they achieve things. And I think that a lot of innovation has come out of those lower budget slasher films. So I credit to that.
Absolutely. And again, how he's been wanting to go anywhere and everywhere as far as the slashing and the violence,
Mhm.
seemingly as far as the creator of the Terrifier series. And
Yeah.
Terrifier 3, I guess, continues to go through all those boundaries as far as what it does. But, slasher flicks aside, it is still something out there for a lot of people that love that genre to get their hands on. This reminds me of those VHS tapes of all those horror movies I had never heard of, but yet, they're like, it's a slasher movie. like that, made out of someone's garage seemingly or whatnot, and was still just, they're still desired today. In fact, if you talk about the most valuable VHS tapes, a lot of them are those low budget horror flicks. They're so revered because there's no other way to be able to see these films outside
Yeah.
of those old VHS tapes. So it's weird how that happens. This Terrifier series seems to be harkening back to those days of the 80s and the 90s low budget horror flicks. And in doing so, it's kind of got that charm in a weird way
Mhm.
of doing that. But yeah, to be even competing with
Yeah.
supposedly
Yeah.
the supposed to be one of the biggest movies of the fall. That's crazy how far Joker Folie à Deux has fallen.
Yeah, it really is unfortunate, and I think, you don't like I don't like to see Lady Gaga involved in things that don't go well. I don't know why. I always feel like she just succeeds at everything that she does. So when she's involved in a project and it doesn't go well, I'm like, oh, what happened? It seems very, very strange.
Very strange indeed. And again, if you're Todd Phillips, you're just laughing all the way to the bank. If you're
Yeah,
Joaquin Phoenix, you're doing the same thing. It just looks like, from all intents and purposes, that they didn't want to do this movie, but Warner Brothers basically backed up that Brinks truck to the point where they just couldn't
just
say
couldn't say
no.
no. Yeah.
No, just couldn't say no. So, yeah, I guess you reap what you sow, and Warner Brothers, another mistake by them. But Terrifier 3 definitely has a chance to win the box office, which I never thought I would say, even when the first one came out. But it has quietly grown over the years to be a series that people are really interested in. I don't know if it ever reached Conjuring status, because Conjuring is backed by a larger studio. It's made with a little bit more money, or at the time, even the original one was made with a lot more money than the even Terrifier 3. But we're still talking, compared to the rest of big budget films, we're still talking about something that was made originally on a budget that was still minuscule by proportional standards. But the Conjuring films, because they have big names attached to it, producing and whatnot, will always have that room to grow. And plus, they've expanded that universe. So it's interesting to see where the Terrifier series goes from there. Do they just keep on going on with a Terrifier, or are they splintering off with other stories in that universe? It'll be interesting to see, Melinda. I mean, I know you won't catch any of them per se, but
Such a chicken.
for a business standpoint, it'll be interesting to see how far they can squeeze, or how much blood they can draw out of moviegoers.
Yeah, I agree with you. And because I mean, Paranormal Activity, they didn't have a huge budget for their first movie either, did
No, you're
they?
right. Very
Yeah.
good point. Yeah,
And
that was nothing.
what about the Blair Witch Project? Was that one
Yes,
another low budget? So,
yes.
they it is possible to happen, and we've seen it. And to me, both of those films, went back to practical effects and, made a lot happen. And to me, made really scary movies. In my opinion, they were terrifying.
I wanted to go ahead and say that Variety just dropped their 100 greatest, or their opinion on the 100 greatest horror films of all time.
Oh,
And if you were to take a look at it, probably the largest budget for many of them would probably maybe be about 30, $40 million, maybe, as
right,
far as, yeah, which again, according, compared to Joker Folie à Deux,
right.
that's nothing. But yeah,
Yeah.
if you want to take a look, again, Variety just dropped it this week with the 100 greatest horror films. Kind of have differences with what they picked at number one, but I'll let you go check it out from there. It is, of course, Terrifier 3, which wasn't on that list.
Mhm.
But you know what? If it makes money at the box office, who cares? You know, there you
That's it.
go.
Bottom
That's it.
line.
Yeah, bottom line is if it makes money, which Joker Folie à Deux is not. But we'll find out what's going on with the box office. Are you watching Terrifier 3 this weekend, or Joker Folie à Deux? Please let us know your thoughts, Pop. culturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, before we head on out, I want to go ahead and hit some major discussions on some video game news topics per se. The first up is Nintendo. Nintendo released some hardware news this week, and we were all excited for it because they had a hardware announcement. Hardware announcement for you, Melinda. I know you were excited to hear about the new Switch 2, what they were going to call it, the designs, how fast it's going to be, some of the games for it. But no. They didn't do that.
Mm-mm.
No. They brought out another hardware announcement. I guess you could call it. Yeah. Okay.
It's something.
It's something.
It's something that you'll get for Christmas.
I don't know. It's $100 for it, so I don't know. It's an alarm clock.
Yeah.
For $100.
Yeah.
So
it better work.
Yeah, and it does have the top, by the way, for anybody out there. When it rings, it has the top so you can smack on it like, the old traditional way you used to stop the alarm. So yeah, it specifically has something for that. But yeah, it is digitized and it'll show you like, I guess some video outputs and things of that nature. Yeah, clips, things of that nature. Yeah, that's great. But this is not what we need from Nintendo. This is not what we would like from Nintendo, Melinda. I mean, I was just talking about it again with Josh for like the 30th time on the show about how if they could ever go and have a deal with Arcade 1-Up, because I've got an Arcade 1-Up here, and bring those out, sell them for $500-$600 a pop.
Yep.
They would make millions upon millions.
Be pretty good, yeah.
We know Nintendo for years. For every Wii, for every Switch, for every 3DS, Game Boy that they have succeeded with millions and millions in sales, they do have Ring Fit. They do have some of the other weird creations that they have made as accessories over the years, the Power Glove, etc., etc. So your thoughts on Alarmo, because that's what it's called, Nintendo's Alarmo. It's just not what we needed right now from Nintendo at this point in time.
It's not, but my nephew's probably... It's not, but my nephew's probably going to get one.
Okay. Why? Is he a Nintendo freak?
I don't know that he's a Nintendo freak, but he's definitely a video game fan. And, they have all of the systems. So it feels like a good aunt present. A present from Auntie Min is what it feels like. Okay. So,
I mean, he'll at least wake up to the sounds of Legend of Zelda. How about that?
I mean, it's gonna sell. It's gonna do all right. It's not what we wanted or what we had hoped for, of course, but I think it's gonna do fine through the holiday season.
It's just weird how they do these things. The obvious things that they should be doing, they don't do all the time, and the things that they should be doing, or they don't, and the things that they end up doing are just different.
Weird. Yeah, so weird.
Yes. Yeah. So, okay. But then again, they're still making hand over fist. So I guess I can't argue with their success. And we'll go from there. But yeah. An alarm clock. I'm going to stay with that. I'm just going to stay with that because it's just very, very weird that they did. People were hyped, really hyped that they were going to announce the Switch 2 this week because hardware announcement. And people are like, yes. And Alarmo comes out and they're like, no.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. I think that's the ultimate. Back in the day, they would have said, psych. Nintendo would have too.
They would have. It's probably some kind of joke. There's probably something else coming, don't you think? Do you really think that they? Do you really think?
Well, they delayed.
like really, really think that this is what they've done? They're not just kind of trolling us?
Well, there is a Switch 2 on the way. That's
Sure.
clear because the Switch is now like 10,000 years old. So
Right.
they do need another Switch, and they've told their shareholders they've got something coming along here in next year.
Right.
So we'll see a Switch 2 eventually. But yeah, this is Nintendo at its finest per se, as far as just, when you think they're gonna zag, they zig. Or they zig, they zag. Yeah,
Well, how else are you going to keep Microsoft and PlayStation guessing, really?
well, yeah, throw an alarm clock by their bed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder if Phil Spencer's going to go ahead and get one and just, every morning just wake up to the sounds of Mario.
And he
Uh,
just crushes it every morning. Just whack. Yeah.
absolutely. Well, again, like I said, it's got the thing on the top just to do
Yeah.
that. It's kind of
Yeah.
flat, so you can just smack it. So
somebody should do that for him for Christmas, I think. To me,
also,
that
I bet,
for the
I bet,
man who has everything, the Nintendo alarm.
I bet you somebody will troll him indeed. But what are your thoughts out there on Nintendo's great new hardware announcement, Alarmo? Please let us know your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, almost out of here, but before we go, I need to go ahead and talk to you. Speaking of Microsoft, Phil Spencer probably woke up after his Alarmo,
Yeah.
to find out on Sunday at the Halo World Championships that 343 Studios, the studios behind the most recent Halo games, is making some big changes.
Oh.
First up, they're no longer going to be called 343 Studios. They're going to be called, shocker upon all shockers, Halo Studios.
Well, yeah.
Yes. Because
Almost didn't see it
Bungie
coming,
left.
huh?
Yes, because Bungie left, and we know the story there, and
Yeah.
they're regretting their decision now these days with what's gone on with, their destiny. Yeah. Well,
Well, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Sometimes freedom and independence isn't all it's cracked up to be in the video
You
game
know
world.
what? It honestly it goes more wrong than right, I have found.
Yes. But after that, Microsoft created 343 Studios. They've come out to some really, really mixed results. Latest is Halo Infinite, but it just like Diablo 4, the launch wasn't bad. The
Right.
reviews were solid. People were okay with it. They liked the new mechanics, but the follow through was terrible.
Yeah.
And the DLC didn't come out in a timely fashion. People were wondering what's going on. There were mistakes. There was stuff that was happening as far as behind the scenes. People leaving right and left at 343 Studios. Unhappy work environment. So I guess after years now since Infinite has come out, they finally decided, okay, we're going to go in a completely new direction. We're going to go ahead first up and rechange our name to Halo Studios, which is obviously a good first step to try and clean the slate, because a lot of people out there, a lot of gamers out there don't have the greatest opinion of 343 Studios after how they've worked out over these past several years, including, I think, Halo 4 and 5.
Right. Yeah.
As well, didn't quite work out the way they wanted to. But they've also announced that their own Slipstream engine that they use to create a lot of the games, and unfortunately a lot of the problems which came after that, they're no longer using. They're slipstreaming that out in space to go with Unreal Engine. So the latest Unreal Engine 5, I think it is. But yeah, all their games going forward will be made in Unreal Engine. They showed a tech demo. Yay, it looked great and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yada yada yada.
yeah, so but
exactly what we expect.
But when you go Unreal Engine instead of your own proprietary engine, that means you're farming out. That means in a kind of way you're, as a studio or an entity that large, a publisher, you're giving in to saying, hey, Unreal, we're going to go pay the licensing fees and all that extra, that cost, things of that nature, because what we've been doing hasn't been good enough. We will go ahead. It's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sell this drink of soda at my liquor store because I don't want to pay whatever it is it costs to get the main brand in. And people go and complain and they complain and they complain and they complain. And they finally just realize, you know what? I'm going to cave in. I'm going to go ahead and get the main soda and bring it in and make people happy. And this looks like that's going to be the case, Melinda.
Yeah, I'd feel like, you know what? Oh, gosh, I don't know. I'm of two minds about it. I mean, we know that Unreal Engine looks great. Mm-hmm. Right? We know this. And sometimes recreating the wheel doesn't really hold enough advantage to go ahead and continue on with that work. So I guess if you can find something and you can make it work, why wouldn't you? You know, if you can lob off that part of the cost of a development of something, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know, that's how I guess I look at it. But again, I consider myself a very casual video game fan, so I don't really know more about the repercussions of that or what the fallout could look like from making that kind of a decision. But I just think that you know, if you can save yourself having to do that kind of work when it's already done, then I don't know why you wouldn't.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, that could mean better benefits for Halo fans in the future. They said there's several Halo projects in the way, possibly maybe as early as 2026, because that'll be the 25th anniversary of Halo. So we'll see what happens. Maybe a Halo reboot as far as the original Combat Evolved reboot. Or maybe we'll see that. Maybe the entire series will be rebooted because, you know, I know a lot of people have been going back and forth on that, but again, if you want to create it to and cater it to younger audiences, because that's who should be buying or be interested now. Because when I was younger, a lot younger, 25 years younger, or almost therein, I enjoyed it, but there's still, you know, the fact that you need to keep on catering to younger and younger audiences. So maybe a reboot of the Halo series might be needed as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, try again, keep the helmet on, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. That series really did not do the IP any favors, my friend.
Yeah, it really didn't. I watched I finally watched like the first 2 episodes and I was like, that's probably enough. I don't need to watch that anymore. But also I found, and Gerald, I don't know what this means for me. But you know, the first 3 episodes of Vox Machina, the new season have dropped.
I have watched it. Yes.
I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it.
Really?
Yeah. How strange, right? But no, I was bored. I can't explain that because I've enjoyed everything that they've done to this point in terms of the cartoon, at least. So I don't understand where that came from. Anyway, I'm sorry. That was taking the whole thing right off the rails. I didn't mean to do that, but if I don't say it when it pops into my brain, it disappears. So.
No, absolutely. Because I watched the first 3 episodes. I thought it was okay, nothing great, but I'm willing to stick through it.
I thought it was boring.
Really? Yeah. Well, their seasons are short anyway, so
well, that's what I mean. If we've already got a third of the season, and I've been like, oh, so that's fine. It's a dragon, whatever.
Oh, dragon! I got that one. There you go. But if you have thoughts on the changes for Halo, please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Very good one. All right. Between you and the pun meister Josh, I tell you, this is worth my time indeed. But before we head out, we've got about 5 minutes left. Wanted to go ahead and hear your thoughts as a PlayStation owner.
Yes.
And it's that time of the year. You said you don't like scary movies, but do you like remakes of a couple games? One is a really bad decision, and one is a good one. And the good one we'll start off first is Silent Hill 2.
Okay, yeah.
That's got an 87 on Metacritic. A lot of people are really high on it. It's still a little bit of clunky, I guess. They didn't change everything and fix everything to it, but what they like, what people saw, most people liked. Your thoughts on Silent Hill 2 before we get to the bad concerning remakes and remasters for PlayStation?
Honestly, just keep the people happy. If you just that's all you got to do. It's all you just find your rabid fans, find out what they love, and amplify it.
Yeah. I think that's
I'm kind of anticipating that that's what they're doing, with these games and the remakes and stuff. So at least that's my hope.
Well, you would think that until
oh no,
this week again in the up and down ride for PlayStation owners.
It has, yeah. It's been rough.
Yeah, Black Myth Wukong came out. That was a high.
Yeah.
Concord came out. That was a low.
Yeah.
And then Astrobot came out. That was a high. And then Until Dawn, the remaster of a 9-year-old game. And then also as well, you have a Horizon Zero Dawn remaster. Again, another recent game that really doesn't need a remaster, but okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And they jacked up the prices on the older version of the PS4 version too. That was really slick. But Until Dawn came out as far as the remaster this week, and it has not really been beloved at all.
What? Why?
Yeah, it just I guess what is there is just not been improved upon really that much. The fact that they're I think they're asking still $70 for it is not going over well as well.
Right.
Poor Hayden Panettiere. Already right now she's been going through a lot of stuff lately in the news. If you've been checking that out as far as the gossip news, all that. And this doesn't help things because a lot of people are talking about how it just didn't do much over the original game. The original game was solidly reviewed. Okay, obviously the realistic effects and the visuals, especially the actors themselves that were showcased were it looked really good. But right now it's just they didn't add much in the way of new features to it and new content. And again, just charging a full price on it. I think it was not a game anybody was asking to be remade, but PlayStation did it anyways.
Yeah, it must have some kind of benefit. I can't imagine that they're doing these things and taking losses on them.
I don't know. I mean, they obviously like what they did with The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2, and they remastered those games, and they really didn't have to. And of course, they're going to do it again with Horizon Zero Dawn. I can't wait for the Spider-Man remaster. Yeah, that's great. So I don't know. We're seeing these remasters. This is just a new cash grab. It's just a cash grab, and if that's what you're into, yeah. But my suggestion is play the older version. If you really want to play Until Dawn, go find the older version at a game store near you. That would be my best recommendation. So.
That is a great recommendation, and we just happen to know a place.
There you go. Called Retro City Games. Recently celebrated its 10th anniversary. I've already warned them that on our 500th episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos, we'll be there to invade and have a good time. Now, that's a party I would like to attend. Absolutely.
Yes.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yes. Ain't no party like a Retro City Games party.
There it is.
Absolutely, indeed. So for Melinda Barkhouse Ross, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day, and of course, wherever you're at in paradise, right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.